What's up, everybody? It's Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. Let me put on my glasses. In this video, we're going to talk about the. This is something that I usually do for the clients that are making their minimum payments on their credit cards. They're making their bills, but they just don't have any additional money to do anything, and they're finding themselves in a situation where it's like I got to make a decision on if I'm going to keep struggling to pay these bills, or if I'm just going to have to let everything go. And when I first started the credit repair shop, this was one of the main issues that a lot of the business clients that I worked with had. Just in case you don't know my background, from when I first started the credit repair shop, it came about from the lessons that I had learned in the 1990s, from me starting a business, making more money, and then not doing the right things with that money, to where I was making more money, but I was in the same situation that I was, but really worse than I was when I was not making a lot of money. And a lot of business owners find themselves in this situation. A lot of athletes that I've worked with, that find themselves in a situation where they make way more money than they ever made, but they ended up getting more bills, which ends up taking all of their money. Like, they make a lot of money, income, they get their check. Maybe it's like $20,000, $30,000 in a month, or some people make 20, 30,000 in a week, and all of that is spent on their expenses to be able to maintain the lifestyle that they have. Now, if you're not making that kind of money, don't worry. Your situation could actually get resolved a lot easier without as much damage to your credit. You'll be able to work your way out of it. So what I want to do is I want to kind of let you know what I had learned when I was getting out of debt, and what you could utilize right now. And just to kind of focus with this video, this is going to be one where I'm going to kind of walk you through what you need to do if you have not messed up your credit yet. Like, I've rarely made this type of video before, but I'm thinking that there's a good number of you who watch my videos, and you're like at that teetering point, like you're about to make that decision on what should I do. So what I want to do is I want to kind of give you some guidance on, number one, from my own personal experience, because I think that when you want to get information about what can happen, like what can potentially happen if I do this, you want to get some type of concrete answer that you could say, okay, this is what happened. I trust this individual who's telling me this, because they've actually went through it. There's nothing more comforting than to speak to someone who has actually went through what you went through, felt the fears, felt the worries, stayed up late at night, tossing and turning. There's nothing more than being able to talk to someone who has went through that, because then they can kind of tell you, okay, you need to expect this, and this is what you need to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of walk you through what can happen. So let's just picture this. You're struggling to pay the house, you're struggling to pay the car note, insurance, struggling to pay all your credit card bills, maybe even student loans, all of that stuff. But you are paying them. Maybe you're utilizing some tricky things with your credit cards, but you're paying the minimum payment on everything. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to decide that you're not going to live that way anymore. I know that might sound crazy to some of you, but one of the things that my wife and I had to do, because we were like, don't spend here, don't spend there, and try to save some money here, and none of that stuff worked until we made a decision that we wasn't going to live that way anymore. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to make that decision, and you have to be willing to stand by it. Now, if you're by yourself, you're not married, you're not in a relationship, then you can make that decision yourself. If you're with someone, you need to put this down on paper. And let me tell you the reason why. This is why my wife and I did it. Is that if any issues come up, all you have to do is pull out that piece of paper and say, well, this is what we agreed to. Let me put my phone on silent so we don't get interrupted here. You say, this is what we agreed to. I'm not arguing with you. This is what we agreed to, so we can get out of that situation that we also have wrote on that paper. And then if that your wife or your husband or your who you're with does not agree with that, even though they signed with that, then you have another problem. You have a problem that's not going to get fixed because you don't have a solid agreement between each other. There's just no way to move forward. I wish that I knew some other way that was going to allow you to move forward if you don't have that agreement, but it's not going to work. Then you have to fix that problem first, because no matter what you do, you're going to always have the problem moving forward. So you need to do that. You need to get it on in writing, and with an agreement that we're going to move forward and not do certain things that we've been doing in the past to get us in this situation. Now that gets to step number 2, which is you got to write down all of the debts. So what are you agreeing to? First, you're agreeing that we're not going to move forward like this anymore because it's hurting us as a family. Next is, what is hurting us as a family? List all of those debts that you have. Credit cards, the car, the mortgage, rent, everything. You got to list this down on a piece of paper. Now, the way that we did it is all of the consumer type debt. Like if you had gas cards, this is what we had. We had gas cards. We had 6 vehicles, believe it or not. 6 vehicles. All of that, you want to write all of that stuff down. The credit card debt, everything that is considered a consumer type debt. Not talking about your mortgage is consumer debt, but we're going to put that off to the side for right now. And your rent, you got to pay your rent. And your insurance for medical insurance, stuff like you got that stuff, you're gonna have to pay. That's gonna be in another category. What I'm talking about is all of this additional stuff that you spend your money on these cards and these payments. You want to line up all of that, and you want to see what the minimum payment is on all of that stuff. Now, remember, we're talking about people who have not went over the cliff yet, that you're making the minimum payments, you're just struggling. So what you could do with all of those is you could get deferments on all of those payments. Some people don't know about this, some people do know about it, but you can actually call your credit card providers, you can call your auto loan, you could even do it on your mortgage, but you got to be very careful with getting a forbearance on your mortgage. But you could do this, and you can get deferments on all of your payments that you got to make. And then what you could do is you could see that with your minimum monthly payments that you've been making, would that benefit you to be able to have that money, and could you utilize that money to start to pay down your debts? Some people, when they look at this, they're like, I never looked at it this way, and this is a potential plan that can help pay down debt. Now, it may not pay down all of your debt, but it could get you into a better position to where you can say, okay, if we could get rid of these debts, we can be, if we stay disciplined and stay with our agreement, that we would be able to move forward and be able to manage paying off the other debts that we have if we maintain the discipline. Now, you might be saying, okay, well, I'm able to do that, but for some reason, a lot of my money still ends up being gone out of my paycheck. I don't know where that money is going. Well, let me show you a technique that I've used that can allow you to figure out where that extra money is going. What you do is you just continue life as you're doing right now. Both of you are still, doing what you regularly do, and maybe you're going to the store, buying stuff, getting, Starbucks or whatever you're doing. But all I want you to do is make one simple adjustment: is that everything that you spend your money on that is not these in that group of payments that you would make, I want you to just keep those receipts. Just how people say, you want the receipt? That now I want you to get the receipt. And what I want you to do is when you get home, you just put them in an envelope. And I want you to, after 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 1 month, I want you to just add up all of those receipts. This is going to show you where all of your additional money is going. When my wife and I did this, we were like, this is crazy. We're spending money here at Walmart. This was back then at Walmart here, going to get lunches and dinners and movies and all that stuff. Now, I'm not talking about not enjoying life. What I'm talking about is just you need to find out where all of your money is going. Once we figured that out, this is the agreement we made. I'm not saying that you need to come to something like this, but we had actually came to an agreement that we were going to own, if we spent more than $50 in 1 week, that we were going to actually have to tell each other about it. And the reason why we even said $50 was because I needed to fill up the tank of the vehicle that we had, because we lived a good distance away from the city that I would go in, that we had our business in. And so usually, and back then I only used to work Monday. I'm sorry, yeah, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday back then for the business that I had. So it would, $50 would fill it up and be able to get me to back and forth for that distance. But we had that agreement, and some people, when I've talked about that in some of the workshops and stuff that I've done in the past, they were like, how did you live on $50 a week for your, for gas? Well, you if you buy your groceries, you manage that stuff, and you don't go out and you don't blow your money on other stuff, you will be surprised that you don't have to spend as much money as you think that you might have to spend on things. It was really eye opening. Like, some of the times when I counsel people and talk to them about budgeting, and we will find that most of the time with people that that are not over, haven't tipped over yet, that a lot of them are able to kind of fix their situation by just having that agreement that we're not going to spend additional money without notifying each other. When you do that, you will see that there's a lot of money that you spend on things that are not a monthly payment, but it adds up to be just as much as a monthly payment on something. And I'm not talking about putting you in a situation where you don't enjoy life. You're going to be able to do that, but you got to run your personal life, your personal finances like a business. Because if you don't, you're going to end up going out of business, and going out of business on the personal side is like filing bankruptcy. And if my wife and I didn't make those decisions back in 1994, we would have went bankrupt. We could have lost our business. We could have messed up a lot of things to where we wasn't going to be able to enjoy life the way that we enjoy life today. So I wanted to get that over to you. That this is, because a lot of people don't know that you are able to do that. And if you did know about it, well, then maybe you could utilize what I just told you in this video to put together a good strategy. Now, there is a link below this video. I have a program. It was called COVID Payment Relief Program, but it's actually a program that you could utilize at any time to be able to get deferments. But something that I had added to that program that I had saw happen in the 2008 crash, when people were getting deferments, is that they didn't get it in writing. I want you to get it in writing, because if you get it in writing, the creditors are not supposed to do anything to hurt your credit. So if you get deferments on all of your stuff, you're paying down debt, and you're not, utilizing and getting back into debt again, this could be an excellent option. So if you're interested in getting that program, the link is below this video. If not, the information that I've just provided for you in this video will help you be able to do it. I just wanted to make this video because there's a lot of people that are like just teetering, and they're like, well, what should I do? Some of the times you might have to make that decision to just go ahead and just, allow your credit to be just blown up, and then you would, in a way, utilize a plan similar to this to be able to get yourself out of debt. All right, if you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, What Makes Us Different, so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com to grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports, and all 3 scores. It also has all of the information that you'll need to be able to know who is furnishing the information on your credit and from what address. A lot of times, it makes it hard to repair your credit when you're doing furniture disputes because you don't even have the address that came from. And if you don't have the correct address that it came from, the debt collectors, especially these third-party debt collectors, can pretend like they didn't get it, and they could say, well, you didn't send it to the address that is on your reports. That's the appropriate furniture address that you need to send that information to. That is one of the tricks that a lot of debt collectors use. Also, you can grab my 3-pack of letters, statute of limitations letter, for debt that is past the legal statute of limitations for you to collect. And yes, debt collectors are still buying debts that are past the statute of limitations to collect, and they're still calling and trying to collect on people for those debts. You do not legally have to pay them, but you got to respond to them the right way, or you're going to allow them to be able to keep coming after you. And then I also give you the cease and desist collection activities letter, not a communications cease letter, a cease and desist collection activities letter. This is going to be where you can question them on everything to make sure they have all the appropriate documentation to come after you for debt that they have purchased from the original creditor. Most of the times they don't. And then I give you a debt validation letter so you can go back and forth with debt collectors if they say, hey, we do have all the information, and you're going to just make them aware that, hey, you need to get this, and this to me, or you need to stop coming after me. And then again, the link is below if you want to get the COVID Payment Relief Program course. I show you step by step with video and the documents so you can get, number one, deferments on your payments, and you can utilize that money to pay down your debt. Thank you for your